It is 2025, which means it's time to take a look at a list of upcoming Christian movies and TV shows. Guys, I am so excited to show you this list where we have a lot of content coming out this year, and some of them look absolutely incredible. I can't wait for you to see every one of them. But make sure you watch to the end, because the last movie that's on this list is a sequel to the biggest Christian movie of all time, and you won't want to miss it. Let's take a look. Number 1, House of David. This new Amazon Prime TV series on the life of David is one of the most ambitious and monumental looking projects I've seen in Christian film for a long time. The new trailer looks big, exciting, and authentic to the world of ancient Israel. And if the actual show is anywhere near as interesting as the trailer looks, then this could be what some people are calling the Christian Game of Thrones. Actually, I don't even know why I said that. Christian and Game of Thrones goes together about as well as birthday cake and mustard, which doesn't go together well at all unless you're weird and just like to suffer. This is the first release by the new faith-based studio, The Wonder Project, which is headed by a former Netflix executive and John Irwin of the Irwin Brothers. Also, as a part of the studio is The Chosen's director, Dallas Jenkins, as a special advisor. With a likely budget of tens of millions of dollars, it appears all stops were pulled to make this as visually impressive and ambitious as possible. Money plus Christian movies equals... I wish it could equal a great product, but that hasn't always been the case. This first season is going to be 8 episodes and appears to be largely focusing on the early years of David leading up to his famous battle with Goliath. More seasons are planned for the future, likely showing his rise to kingship and his rule throughout the years. David is one of the best stories in the entire Bible. If they could do a show of his entire life, you're talking about some of the best content that Christian film has ever seen, as long as it's done right. Number 2, Gabriel and the Guardians. This new show by Angel Studios is making waves for being one of the first Christian anime shows in history. Centering around a creative retelling of the War of the Angels and the spiritual battle between light and darkness, this show seeks to bring a Christian perspective to a genre that is usually heavily influenced by Eastern religion. Honestly, this seems like my kind of a show. I mean, when I was growing up, people used to tell me all the time that I was such a little angel. Never mind, that's a lie. No one ever told me I was an angel. I was a menace. As you can see from this footage, this is an expertly animated show with a beautiful visual style. Although it's based on Christian concepts and characters, there's a large amount of artistic and creative storytelling, also utilizing materials from other texts originating in ancient Mesopotamia. So gathering inspiration from ancient Sumerian writings. Please, nobody tell Billy Carson about this show. He doesn't need to know about it.
In the Sumerian tablets, they said that they used weapons of mass destruction.
What?
So I would definitely not watch this show expecting a large amount of theological accuracy, but more expecting a Christian-inspired take on the anime genre. So expect to see a lot of content that is not directly based on the Bible. So if we're taking creative liberties, can we get a Larry the Cucumber themed angel in this show? And look, I just like Larry the Cucumber, okay? Is there something wrong with that? Number 3, David the Animated Movie. 3 years ago, Sunrise Animation Studios, in conjunction with Angel Studios, released the trailer for an upcoming animated movie on the life of David. Apparently, David is the theme for this year. I'm okay with that. The trailer, which featured some of the smoothest and most eye-catching animation ever seen for a Christian film, quickly caught on, garnering millions of views on the trailer and raising over $55 million to bring this ambitious project to life. $55 million! That is so much money! You could literally buy like 10 million pounds of ice cream with that much money. I'm glad they spent this money on a movie instead of ice cream, even though I do really like ice cream. From the original trailer, we see that this story will focus partially on David's younger years as a shepherd, but will probably mainly focus on his adulthood, likely leading up to his iconic battle with Goliath. This trailer and project has already been so successful to date that an entire short animated series titled Young David was created on Minnow and Angel Studios to provide backstory to the events that will take place in the film, which likely means that the feature film will primarily center on the beginning of David's rise to power rather than his childhood. However they handled the story and events of David's life in this film, as you can see from the trailer footage, this is easily one of the most beautifully animated Christian films of all time. It's already raised so much attention up to this point without it even being marketed or released, so this will likely end up being a highly successful project. Number 4, Revelation Road TV series. So now it's time for a project that has been floating around in the ether for several years without a definitive release date. Revelation Road is a series of 3 post-apocalyptic movies centering around Josh McManus, a traveling salesman who is struggling to fight his way home after the rapture shakes society. It looks like the TV series is centered on a very similar concept and may actually be an alternate retelling of the same story, but in episodic format. From what I see, this show appears to be mostly finished, going through filming and post-production, but it's now stalled while David A.R. White searches for a distributor. There haven't appeared to be any big updates since last year, but I think that once this project acquires a distributor, we're gonna see a quick turnaround on a release window. Look, David White, I got you. I will distribute this show for you. I got about like $50 saved up. We could put it in marketing and then we'll whip up a streaming website on WordPress, and you know what? We're gonna take this thing to the world. Somehow I don't think he's gonna take me up on my offer. Number 5, The King of Kings. Yet another animated film coming out this year, and also the 3rd animated project being released by Angel Studios this year. This is an animated adaptation of The Life of Our Lord, which is actually a lesser known book by the successful English writer Charles Dickens, who is actually a character in the film. Let me get this straight. So this is a story about a story by Charles Dickens in which a man tells a story, and technically in this story, Jesus, since he tells parables, also tells a story. So if you think about it, this is a story in a story in a story in a story. This movie also has a star-studded cast. They got Mark Hamill as a voice actor. Luke, I am your father. Stop it, Joseph. And Ben Kingsley as Caiaphas. But this is a story of the life of Jesus from birth to death and resurrection, told through the eyes of Charles Dickens' son, who is actually integrated into the scenes throughout the life of Jesus. It's actually kind of cool. The trailer shows him standing with the disciples in a ship or eating while Jesus feeds the 5,000 and more, as if he is actually a part of the stories of the Bible. Number 6, Homestead, the TV series. So there was actually a Homestead film that was just released towards the end of 2024, but I included it in this list because it was so close to 2025 that a lot of you probably haven't had a chance to see it yet. What's unique about Homestead is that it's currently comprised of 2 television episodes on Angel Studios with a theatrical feature-length release that continues the episodic story. There are also 6 additional episodes planned for release in the future. Wait, is that the guy who plays Satan in Babylon Bee skits? Okay. The premise of Homestead is that in the not-so-distant future, a nuclear bomb detonates in California, plummeting the United States into chaos. A wealthy family and those around them lock themselves into a guarded and gated facility to protect themselves from the outside world, which is rapidly falling apart. But as they remain comfortable and relaxed inside their safe haven, the outside world pleads with them to show mercy and help them in their time of need, an action which would potentially open them up to danger. So I'm curious to learn more about this film and show and see how good it actually is. Number 7, Light of the World. Apparently 2025 is a breakout year for Christian animation because we have yet another animated film. And similarly to The King of Kings mentioned before, this is an animated movie on the life of Jesus. But rather than being another CGI modern 3D animated film, this one actually has a classic animated style reminiscent of DreamWorks animated movies of the turn of the millennium, namely Prince of Egypt and Joseph, King of Dreams. And I know a lot of you guys love those films, so you're gonna find this one interesting, I think. In a lot of ways, it kind of feels like a reboot of classic Christian animated films, but a reboot that is authentic to the style of traditional animation, unlike some of the other reboots that have been happening lately. Are we gonna pretend that we like these ones? Disney, are you trying to lose money? Are you trying to lose fans? Are you trying to destroy your reputation as a company? Help! This animation style has been such a big part of so many people's lives that I think many of you are going to enjoy it, even if it appears a little retro compared to modern Hollywood blockbusters. And I am excited to see what such a visually beautiful film shapes up to be. Number 8, The Chosen Season 5. The Chosen is about to become a 5-season TV series, making it one of the longest running Christian TV shows in history. With the 5th season, we're now getting close to the end of his life. This new season will actually almost entirely take place within the Holy Week leading up to season 6, which will finally cover the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. I think that this means that this season is going to cover some very complex, difficult, and painful subject material, and it's likely going to be an emotional roller coaster for viewers. There are going to be some very impactful and powerful scenes, such as the triumphal entry, the Last Supper, and Jesus overturning the tables of the corrupt money changers on the Temple Mount. Honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing Jesus flip some tables and go RKO on some heathens.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
But these powerful, impactful moments, I think, are going to be offset by the sheer weight of everything else that happens in this season. So we'll see then everything that's actually going to take place in season 5. If you guys are enjoying this video and this list so far, you need to check out a link below where I include a link to my Discord channel. You guys can join the Discord where you have an opportunity to see videos before other subscribers, to give me feedback on my videos, and also to suggest videos that you think I should make for this channel. Click the link in the video description below to join my Discord channel. Number 9, The Chosen Adventures. For those of you who can't get enough of The Chosen, there's also closely tied to the main show is a new animated 14-episode TV show featuring the same characters from the live-action show and an animated kid-friendly format. This show will feature some of the same characters as voice actors and gives the impression that it's going to center on a very similar storyline, but told through the eyes of a 9-year-old girl in ancient Judea. It's actually kind of cool, and some of the early models show us that the animated cast is designed to look like the live action actors, just caricatured as cartoon characters, which is kind of cool. And if the early footage is a representation of the final product, then it looks like this is going to be a stop motion animated TV show coupled with a 3D modeled world. I just can't imagine how tired Jonathan Roumie is. He's done 5 seasons of The Chosen, still has 2 to go, and then they come up to him and say, "Hey, would you like to voice act an entire additional show?" Honestly, respect. Number 10, Duck Dynasty, The Revival. While it's not necessarily an overtly Christian TV show, Duck Dynasty in the past proved to be a wildly popular reality TV series in which the main character's Christian faith played a central role. Now the show is rebooting with most of the same characters and on the same network, bringing us back to the Bayou in Louisiana and the down-to-earth antics of the Robertson family. This is almost 10 years from the last season, so now the show is going to largely center around Willie and Corey and the now grown and married Robertson children and their families. The cast has widely expanded, and it's going to be interesting to see if the Robertsons are able to reignite interest in their redneck lifestyle. It has been a while since their peak, and overall awareness of the brand has dropped, with the Phil Robertson biographical drama The Blind proving moderately successful last year. I understand he's now 76 years old, but can we please get Uncle Si trying to get out of doing something at least once per episode? Uncle Si, we need you. Number 11, The Unbreakable Boy. This film has been long overdue for a while. A leaked trailer was released for this movie several years ago. Well, they have an official release date now on February 21st. This movie centers around the life of Austin Lorette, an autistic boy who also suffers from a rare brittle bone disease that makes him especially prone to injury and harm. Austin's parents, Scott and Teresa, are enduring the challenge of safely raising their son. The biggest thing going for this film, or at least from the trailer, is a highly likable personality from Austin. Watching the trailer, I couldn't help but feel myself drawn in and liking Austin as a character. And this is yet another Christian movie under the belt for Hollywood star Zachary Levi. So Shazam converted? He's been going really incognito as of late.
You're dead.
So before we get to the final film on this list, which you guys I think are going to be so excited to hear about, I want to rapid fire several smaller projects or movies we just don't know much about. First, we have Brave the Dark, which is a film that actually premiered in film festivals back in 2023, but is just now getting a theatrical release by Angel Studios. It centers on a teenager named Nate, who after a troubled upbringing is in and out of trouble and ends up in jail. When his teacher decides to give him a second chance by letting him stay with him, Nate clashes with his new authority as he decides if he is really willing to change and clean up his life. Then we have Between Borders, which was actually released in January and features the well-known Elizabeth Tabish, who plays Mary Magdalene in The Chosen. This movie is set during the tempestuous collapse of the Soviet Union in the 90s and follows the Petrosians, I have no idea if I said that right, an Armenian family that is uprooted in the process and must find a new home. As they search for a new community to call their own, they have to find safety from the remaining dangers of a collapsing government. Then we have Sarah's Oil. We don't have any footage for this yet. We just have a synopsis and the main actors, one of which is Zachary Levi yet again. It centers on an 11-year-old girl who discovers a body of oil in Oklahoma back in 1914. This discovery rapidly thrusts the girl from relative obscurity to massive wealth, but also the problem of greedy oil tycoons trying to take advantage of her and sap her of her newfound resources. Now that is what sounds like an interesting plot to me. And then to make things a little more lighthearted, we have an upcoming kids show based on the popular children's book series, The Dead Sea Squirrels. Yes, you heard that correct, The Dead Sea Squirrels. This animated show illustrates Bible stories from the perspective of a group of silly, high-energy squirrels. And the main appeal for a lot of the people looking at the show, I think, is going to be who one of the main actors is. I'm just going to show you.
From the co-creator of VeggieTales, I feel a song coming on.
Yes, that is Mike Naraki, the voice actor for Larry the Cucumber. I think this is just the closest thing I'm going to get to more VeggieTales. And for a very brief mention, Netflix's adaptation of the Chronicles of Narnia is apparently scheduled to come out on Thanksgiving Day 2026, so it's still a good ways away, but there's a good chance we might get some early kind of visuals by the end of the year on what this project is going to look like. And now, for the movie that all of you guys have been waiting for, it is the resurrection of the Christ. It's highly likely that after 20 plus years of waiting, we're gonna finally see at least some official material relating to the sequel of the critically acclaimed Passion of the Christ later this year. There have been apparently some delays to filming, which is now set to begin. I don't even know at this point. I don't know if anyone knows when they're finally gonna film this movie. So it's unlikely that they're gonna have a full release in 2025. But once again, we should actually see some material on this film by the end of the year. Mel Gibson was recently on Joe Rogan's podcast and he had this to say about his upcoming movie.
When are you going to start filming?
I'm hoping next year sometime. There's a lot required.
So I highly doubt that I need to explain to any of you guys the premise of Passion of the Christ, but the sequel is apparently going to be a very creative retelling of the events from Jesus' death and burial all the way to his resurrection and likely a short time with his disciples leading up to his ascension. I wouldn't be surprised if this film gets into some deep spiritual material pertaining to what Jesus experienced in the 3 days that he lay dead in a tomb while conquering death in the spirit world. Mel Gibson has literally described this upcoming film as an acid trip.
I'll just tell you this, it's an acid trip when we wrote it.
So I'm intrigued, I guess. I'm definitely expecting this film to lean a little heavier into artistic license, and I don't even know how to say this word. I put it in my notes, and I don't even know how to say eschatological? Is that how you say it?
Why can't you speak English?
No, I don't know how to say it, okay? It's gonna likely polarize segments of the Christian faith. That's nothing new because, I mean, I don't think anybody would say that the first film was universally and undividedly accepted by the Christian audience. I honestly doubt that Mel Gibson cares if a few Christians get offended by him creatively telling what he thinks happened during the 3 days Jesus was in the tomb. Anyway, that is my list of the upcoming Christian movies and TV shows in the year of 2025. If I missed any that you have heard of, please tell me in the comments below, and I would also love to know what is the Christian movie or TV show that you are most excited about coming out this year. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and be sure to click the screen because there's another video that YouTube thinks you're really gonna like. And as always, never forget, Jesus loves you. And if you've never entered a personal relationship with Jesus or want to grow closer to God, I would love to talk with you. Contact me in the information in the video description below, and I would love to tell you how Jesus can change your life just like he changed mine.